And we're live. Is the Mountain gonna fight that other World's Strongest Man dude, Eddie Hall?
They're gonna talk about it a lot for a long time.
They're not gonna wait. They're not gonna fight. That's not gonna happen. There is no way the Mountain and Eddie Hall fight.
I'm
How
sure
big is Eddie Hall?
Eddie Hall is 6'3" and enormous, but it's only next to the Mountain that he looks like a small guy. But Eddie Hall is an enormous guy, and both of them have the power to do just unspeakable damage. Like, can you imagine?
In Las Vegas, they're fighting in Las Vegas next year. The battle between September 2021.
What if?
Wow.
I see. I need to fix our layout, but I see there. Here's a picture of them holding each other. It's hard to get them really next to each other to see how big. Yeah. The Mountain's bending over a little bit.
Because the Mountain's like 6'11", almost 7 feet tall, right?
Yeah.
That sounds rightish. I know he's ginormous.
All of us would look like children in this photo.
Jesus. He's a big guy.
I saw Eddie Hall next to someone else. I forget who it was, but I always, sometimes guys with a lot of muscles are actually short, right? If you were to take them and stretch them to 6'1" or so, they wouldn't be so big anymore. You could picture this like fire hydrant of a man.
Yeah.
So having never seen Eddie Hall with much to compare him to sidewise, like I don't know how big an Atlas stone is. I thought he was that guy. He was like 5'8" and just really wide like a fire hydrant. And I saw him next to someone and was like, oh my God, he's huge. He's big. But the Mountain, of course, is even bigger. But I don't know. Fighting is an athletic endeavor. There's more to it than that. If you take away the grappling, Israel Adesanya, I think, beats both of them. You don't think so?
Absolutely not.
Interesting. I do. I think that. I mean, the
how
object.
much does Israel Adesanya weigh? 170.
Well, he'd be like 200 for this.
Well, they wouldn't. Yeah. No, he wouldn't. He walks around 175.
He
doesn't
fights
cut
at
weight.
185, right? Am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong. He fights at
No, you're
185.
I think he
would
walks
get
around at that weight.
He would get absolutely
I don't think he cuts
smashed
weight.
by the Mountain. There's no way for him to compete with the Mountain. He's just too big of a person. You just smother him, right? Like,
so I intentionally took away grappling because I feel like enough muscles can overcome the skill difference.
But every sport, even boxing, has grappling.
Can you imagine if Israel Adesanya gets the Mountain in an arm bar? You know what the Mountain's going to do? He's going to curl his entire body weight over his body.
I agree with that.
Relative ease and smash him into the other side.
So it's on my mind. Joe Lozon said that he couldn't beat Shaq, right? Joe Lozon's a great fighter. He says Shaq is just too much man that he would lose. But if you make it just striking, I see a guy so much faster, very hard to hit Israel. I think it and by the way, he hits hard. I assume both these guys are super durable, but am I crazy? Dick, boxing. Can a top boxer, a 200-pound guy beat the Mountain?
I don't see how. You're just going to get shoved around. Like, just the physical exertion of having to keep a man that size off of you, I think is going to exhaust even a marathon guy. You know what I mean? Like
he's a counter puncher, right? He's going backwards, tagging him, never getting hit, always doing the hitting.
How long are the Mountain's arms, though?
Longer than his.
Just the force alone, I think, is going to exhaust anybody.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, Conor McGregor clearly beat him, but
they sparred. That's what you're making a reference to.
Yeah. I saw that Dana White offered Conor and Poirier a fight,
but I didn't see the money.
No, nobody saw the money, but except for Conor and Poirier, I'm sure.
See, that's the already, but for the audience, that's the rub, right? Dana will say, "I'll give you both, whatever, $1 million. You can go fight." And Conor's like, $1 million? Why would I fight for like 7% of my normal pay?
Yeah, Conor offered Poirier like a charity fight in Dublin, where they would each fight for each other's charities. So then Dana comes back and counter offers like, "Hey, why don't you just fight in the UFC? I'll pay you X, Y, and Z." We'll see. I'd like to see Conor do anything really. I'd watch him fight some old men at a bar again. That was fun.
I haven't seen anyone say this. That's funny, but I still think it to be true. I think the reason Conor hasn't been getting fights is to pay him Conor money. He needs a gate, and that's the scoop. He needs it in person. He needs an event. They need, the UFC gets paid to put the event there. They get paid for the tickets that come in. They make a lot of money from these live events. And they're thinking to themselves, I can't pay Conor, I'll make it up, $12.5 million to fight if it's just TV.
Yeah, maybe. I know Conor has wanted some fights. I know he wanted somebody back in the spring, and they couldn't make it happen.
Diego.
No, well, he said that this is before that. He said that he mentioned Diego because they couldn't get him a fight before, and he's just looking for a filler fight because he wanted to fight this year. He's like, let me fight somebody. You
can't even find Thor's arm length because all it brings up are the measurements around his arm.
Yeah.
Dude, but this guy.
But it's usually like your wingspan, your height are usually rather similar.
If you can, this guy's a bitch. You can only deadlift 1,000 pounds.
Oh, really? Pathetic.
That just means that, think of how easy it'll be to knock him over. He doesn't have the strongest posterior chain on earth.
So you saw the Eddie Hall deadlift, right? And the nosebleed, I don't know, I'm making shit up. What is it called when your blood vessel bursts? An aneurysm,
God.
Yeah, he was I was dizzy for 5 days. My brain exploded and yada, yada, yada. Was he playing that up? Is that true, or was he really just the absolute peak of exertion to break the record?
I would believe that exerting yourself to that extent would cause some problems. The human body is not meant to deadlift 1,000+ pounds. Have you
ever seen The King of the Hill, where the Macho Man Randy Savage is in it, and he's training Bill?
Yeah, and he becomes.
I know I've gotten a good workout when the blood vessels in the back of my eyes pop.
And that's when Bill gets all jacked and he starts going over and fucking with Hank.
Yeah, it's my favorite line of all time. He's like, "No agony, no braggony."
That show is so fucking good. I need to fucking rewatch King of the Hill again.